Hey my dears, first of all, click the like button so you don't forget, okay? This helps me a lot, thank you. 4,000 years into the future, humanity was nearly brought to extinction by a giant. Closer, and their only chance of survival was by utilizing the FranXX, an overpowered mecha that unleashes legendary powers when a guy rides a girl. However, Hiro was deemed a total failure after being unable to get excited while piloting with his partner Naomi, resulting in Naomi's execution. Aimlessly wandering, Hiro roamed without purpose until he saw some clothes and a beautiful, seductive silhouette in the lake.
Nice.
He felt embarrassed but noticed she had disappeared. Worried she might be drowning, Hiro ran to save her, but she suddenly emerged with a fish in her mouth, revealing all she had to offer. He was impressed by her stunning beauty, highlighted by her peculiar red horns. As she got dressed, she noticed he must be some kind of pervert since he was holding her underwear. She laughed at his reaction, but thanked him after realizing he had entered the water just to save her. They talked about Hiro being a parasite, the term for FranXX pilots. She denied it, pointing out that he was the only one who couldn't pilot. The girl said they were alike, but he could always try to find another partner. She then came closer, grabbed him, licked his face, and they fell into the water together. She remarked that he had an interesting taste, a strong flavor that lingered. Oh my, what a couple. The pink-haired girl liked him and asked if he wanted to be her darling, suggesting that his ability might just be dormant and that she could ignite his flame. This struck Hiro deeply, igniting a spark of hope within him. But when Hiro tried to take her hand, a group of men appeared, asking why she had fled. She explained that she needed a break. As they were about to leave, Hiro asked for her name. She found this strange since parasites don't have names, so she said her code was 002, but everyone called her 02, and she disappeared from his sight. While watching Naomi being taken for execution, a giant emerged from the ground, causing Naomi's container to fall out of sight. Several cannons began firing at the giant, causing it to topple and collide with the fortress, making Hiro fall off the grid. Realizing the monster was heading towards his friends, Hiro ran after it, but soon noticed a second monster. At that moment, a giant tried to attack a young pilot, but was stopped by a FranXX that began tearing it apart. The giant transformed its tail into a giant weapon and launched it, firing an energy blast that was repelled by the FranXX, creating an intense light that sent the robot flying towards Hiro. Seeing an injured man fall from the FranXX, Hiro discovered 02 inside, who informed him that the man was dead. When he wondered how she would pilot alone, 02 explained that she always devoured her partners and never feared for her own life. Nevertheless, Hiro volunteered to become her new partner, saying he had nothing to lose if he died. 02 replied that they were alike and said she really liked him and was eager to see him pilot deep inside her robot. She then pulled him close, saying that he was now her darling, and gave him a passionate kiss. I got goosebumps, my god. At that moment, the FranXX began to energize and simultaneously, the Cloxosaur advanced toward the fortress. However, the FranXX started pushing it back, upgrading from the united souls of Hiro and 02 before hurling it away. Then, their FranXX launched a spear at the second monster and flew toward it. When they collided with it, they released poisonous gas inside and caused it to explode into a thick smoke. With the monsters defeated, 02 emerged from the FranXX carrying Hiro, and everyone recognized her as the partner killer. And so we discovered that 02 is part of the Special Forces and has Cloxosaur blood. In the end, she is very happy because she found her darling. Hey my dears, have you ever wanted to draw your own anime character, or even become a professional artist? Dude, check this out. Anime Art Academy brings together professional artists from Japan. You can actually learn from real mangakas. And you know the best part? You can start for free to get a taste of the journey. Check out the art from one of the professors. Hot, right? The link is in the description, okay? The next day, Hiro arrived at the boarding house and found Ichigo waiting for him. However, as he began to leave, she asked if he had really controlled the FranXX in battle, to which he replied that he had no memories of the event, but was looking to pilot the robot again to be sure. Ichigo warned him that Zero Two's partners usually died after their third ride together and asked him to stay away from her so he wouldn't meet the same fate, but Hiro couldn't stop thinking about Zero Two and was eager to pilot with her again. Another pilot named Garo appeared and told him that Zero Two was in their cafeteria. Inside the hall, teenage pilots began to stare at the girl as she savored a piece of honey-coated meat, wondering who she was. Zorom, who was rather useless and hopeless, decided to try his luck and expressed his desire to pilot with her until they reached the skies, but she just wiped her greasy hand on his clothes, making him squeal like a little girl. Before long, she sat down next to Hiro and decided to ask him to taste the meat. Seizing the opportunity, Hiro asked her if he had truly controlled the robot. She confirmed it and declared him her darling, leaving the teenagers in shock. Looks like someone got jealous. Nana entered the hall and introduced herself to everyone, stating that she was their new caretaker and would be in charge of all their duties. When Zero Two started to leave, Hiro begged to pilot with her once more, as he had only briefly reached the skies before. However, Nana stated that only the squad leader could make that decision. Inside the elevator, Nana warned Zero Two to stay away from Hiro and the other pilots, believing she would be a bad influence on them. In the Leaders' Council, they discussed Zero Two's performance with individual 016, Hiro. Strelitzia, Zero Two's FranXX, showed a much superior performance alongside Hiro, and they are interested in this. After that, the people at Base 13 prepare for their first real training in the FranXX. Hiro was the first to do this with Zero Two, staying ahead of the others. In the FranXX, the pilot's brains and souls connect as one, so compatibility is essential. The next day, Zero Two encountered Ichigo and Garo, but after distancing herself, Ichigo decided to ask why she chose Hiro as her partner. When Zero Two refused to answer, Ichigo told her to stay away from him, fearing he would be left heartbroken. Seeing through her feeble lie, Zero Two stared at her and licked her face menacingly before leaving. That night, Zorom kicked a ball at Hiro and began to taunt him, calling him a useless coward pretending to be a hero like his stupid name suggested. Irritated by his words, Hiro confronted him, but Ichigo and Garo rushed to separate them. After a few days, the sergeant informed Hiro that he would have a battle in a FranXX, and a victory would promote him to be a parasite. When told to choose a partner, Zero Two offered to pilot with him, but Ichigo insisted she was a stranger to the group and volunteered to pilot instead, which Nana accepted. Disappointed with the outcome, Zero Two started to leave, prompting Zorom to challenge Hiro to the battle, hoping to humiliate him and threaten to crush him like candy. That night, as everyone gathered to watch the battle, Ichigo advised Hiro to focus on strengthening their connection, as they could only energize the robot through their emotional bond. They began to connect, energizing the FranXX as they approached Zorom's robot. Seeing that it was indeed working, Hiro thought they could win the battle and suggested they destroy their opposition immediately. However, as he drew his weapon, it fell before Zorom could strike, mysteriously shutting down. Inside the FranXX, Hiro attempted to reboot it but realized it was futile. Ichigo asked if she was the reason he couldn't get up and wondered how he was able to pilot with Zero Two. Hiro told her their kiss had mysteriously brought the robot to life, but he had been too foolish to realize what they were truly doing. Seeking to give it another chance, Ichigo suggested they kiss, so she covered his eyes and kissed him. When it was over, they realized the robot was still dormant and their kiss was fake. Suddenly, Zorom knocked their robot down and attempted to finish it off, but it froze in that instant and fell. Irritated by their disappointment, Ichigo began to energize the robot herself and charged at her opponent before crushing it at the fortress and leaving both robots destroyed. Inside the FranXX, Ichigo began to cry over her failure and called Hiro useless, convinced he hadn't made a genuine attempt to connect with her. The next day, when they met outside the examination room, Hiro tried to apologize to her, but she was summoned at that moment. Later that day, Hiro told Garo he would try to pilot with Zero Two for the second time, but Garo warned him he was risking his life after reminding him of all his previous partners who died in battle. However, Hiro was determined and told him he was completely useless if he wasn't piloting any robot. The next day, Hiro spotted Zero Two alone, but as he began to look at her, she said she was waiting for him and asked him to follow her. After she entered a new passage, the system prevented Hiro from passing. Zero Two revealed her Class S identification, granting her access to all areas of the facility. As she ran towards Hiro, she grabbed him and led him through the system. When they arrived outside, Hiro discovered a beautiful city before him and wondered how 02 was able to find it. She told him she had been to various facilities and knew her way around, as they were all built on a similar structure. Hiro told her he had never been to the city, as everyone was born and raised within the fortress, but he was curious to see what it was like. He told her he would like to give her a new name, but she said she liked her name and jumped onto a pole before walking along it. She wondered if he would like to run away and suggested they escape from the fortress, but Hiro was too scared to respond. The next day, Nana informed the teenagers they would go on their first mission to annihilate smaller Cloxosaur that had appeared outside the facility. The sergeant told them the Cloxosaur were attracted to magma energy reactions and had appeared in the level 8 mine, destroying the system. Nana said Hiro would not join them on the mission as he was unable to pilot a robot, and they would have to rely solely on themselves. Before long, they reached level 8 and began to venture out, encountering a Cloxosaur devouring a system. Ichigo's robot charged towards it, and as she stabbed it, she pulled it down so a second robot could catch it, allowing Zorome to impale it. With their success, Zorome began to celebrate and said the mission was like taking candy from a baby. Ichigo told him to destroy its core immediately, but as he attempted to impale it, it jumped onto his robot and began to attack him, causing Miku to faint. Fortunately, Futoshi pushed it away, allowing Ichigo to stab the core. However, another Cloxosaur appeared before them, and several more began to appear. Realizing they had no chance of exterminating them, Ichigo suggested they flee before being killed by the monsters. At the same time, in the facility, 02 told Nana she was willing to rescue the pilots, so Hiro offered to support her. However, the sergeant said Hiro was weak and would only cause more harm than good. 02 decided to confront Nana, trying to persuade her to accept, but Nana said she wasn't authorized to pilot the FranXX with Hiro. Mitsuru suggested they pilot together and told Nana that she was the only hope to rescue the team, as Hiro, the loser, could pilot her like a man. Mitsuru thought he could drive it twice as hard, but 02 told him to go fuck himself, because he was a cocky, useless person. However, Hiro didn't think it was right due to his pride in his friends' lives, so he asked 02 to go with Mitsuru. 02 obviously doesn't like it very much, but accepts his darling's request. And they began to depart. Meanwhile, on level 8, Miku finally regained consciousness, so the team supported Ichigo to hold a gate as the Cloxosaur continued to collide with it. However, when the team learned that 02 was coming to rescue them, Ichigo thought she was piloting with Hiro, and her distraction caused her robot to shut down, allowing the monsters to destroy the gate. They then began to flee as the monsters chased them. It didn't take long for them to realize they were trapped, and a huge Cloxosaur appeared before their eyes, but when it tried to devour them, 02 landed on top of it and impaled it until it exploded in front of them. As new monsters began to gather, the FranXX impaled another monster, and Mitsuru began to proclaim himself the greatest pilot in history and that Hiro was the most useless person he had ever met. As he began to slice and obliterate the monsters, trying to test his full ability, 02 decided to give her all in the battle and faced another large Cloxosaur. When the FranXX were pulled to the surface, 02 emerged from it unharmed, but Mitsuru was unconscious and severely injured. The next day, when Mitsuru looked like he had seen a ghost, Hiro decided to ask him what happened inside the FranXX. Mitsuru said 02 was a crazy psychopath who tried to devour his soul and, catching Hiro, warned him to stay away from her or she would kill him like she did with her other partners. That afternoon, Ichigo decided to ask Hiro if he was still determined to continue with 02, as she feared he would meet his end if he kept risking his luck. Hiro told her he had no intentions of giving up, so she said she wouldn't try to stop him anymore and decided to leave. However, the next day, when Hiro saw 02, he remembered Mitsuru's words and immediately hid. However, as he was soaking in a pool, 02 appeared before him and followed him into the water, asking if he would like to develop the plot with her. When Hiro was too scared to respond, she told him he was the only person suitable to be her partner and that they could have special babies with his seed.
Yes! 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 Yes!
Oh my god, what a hot girl. But at that moment, an alarm began to sound throughout the facility. Outside the fortress, 4 robots began to approach the Cloxosaur to stop it before it reached the installation. When one of the robots began to retreat, the Cloxosaur chased it, but another robot impaled it in a trap. As it tried to free itself, the other robots caught it and stabbed it before bringing it down. With the monster subdued, the team wondered if they had defeated it as they couldn't find its core. However, it suddenly captured Zorome and trapped the team with strange objects. Ichigo tried to hurry, but she fell into the sand and got stuck with the rest of the team. At the same time, Hiro and 02 ran to Nana in hopes of joining the battle, but she said their presence wasn't needed. At that moment, a group of soldiers arrived and surrounded 02, saying headquarters was demanding her return to the front line. But when a soldier touched her, she threw him across the room, causing the others to point their lasers at her. Realizing the odds were against her, 02 told Hiro she would go to a different facility, but she was sad she couldn't stay by his side, so she bid farewell and began to leave. After she was gone, Hiro asked Nana if 02 really killed her previous partners inside the FranXX. Nana told him 02 was a special girl being used for battle on the front line, and that each battle had a negative impact on her partners, causing them to die. She said 02 was a strange alien from an unknown planet, and that her abilities couldn't be compared to those of an ordinary human. Hearing those words, Hiro realized he had misjudged her intentions and began to run. Soon, he started shouting her name and banging on the system, but she walked away from him. Desperate for her to listen to him, he began to recite his best lines as a lovesick boy and told her she could become his Discord kitten as she helped him regain his ability to stand up. He wanted to ride her until they reached the sky and release all his energy into her body. Hearing those words, 02 stopped walking, pleased to hear his confession. When she jumped on a soldier, she grabbed his gun and began shooting at the glass before leaping towards him and breaking it. She told Hiro that nobody had ever recited a love poem to her and asked him to say it again, so he said he wanted to ride her until they reached the sky and release his energy into her. Delighted with his confession, she suggested they save the team first. Advancing, 02 kicked a soldier, and they began to run to their robots as they prepared to activate them. Nana told them to return immediately, but 02 told her to screw off and cut off the communication. Soon, the FranXX emerged and flew towards the battle. At rocket speed, she collided with the Cloxosaur, finally freeing the team. Hiro said he would destroy the monster's tail, so the team decided to attack its head. As the monster threw strange objects at the FranXX, she blocked them and pulled the tail before releasing gas into it. However, they found the core was missing. As it disappeared into the ground, the FranXX chased it. Soon, she emerged from the ground and, hitting the tail, a large worm came out of the ground and fell into the sand. To finish it off, Ichigo jumped on top and stabbed its tail. Realizing the opportunity, the rest of the team stabbed it and managed to immobilize it. Then, Hiro decided to finish it off. As the FranXX freed themselves, she jumped to the other side and pierced the monster, destroying it from the inside and emerging with the core as it exploded into thick smoke. That night, as the system announced that 2 facilities would merge in a kiss procedure, Zorome began to wonder if they would have to kiss, so Ano told him the procedure involved transferring magma fuel reserves from one facility to another, as the fuel was used to operate the robots. As the team began to worry that the Cloxosaur would attack them, Hiro said he would protect them with his FranXX. A few days later, the team had their graduation ceremony and was promoted to parasites, but the next morning, Garo noticed that Hiro looked sick. In the bathroom, he decided to ask how he was feeling, but Hiro said he was fine. Later, the team thanked Hiro for rescuing them in the battle against the Cloxosaur, but he only wished they considered him a team member. However, when Zorome began to say he was just lucky in the battle, Hiro decided to make amends with him, realizing that the boy was just useless. So they shook hands. As they began to enter the cafeteria, 02 appeared before Hiro and led him to a table for breakfast. After pouring honey on the food, 02 fed Hiro with a bite. Inside the boys' dormitory, 02 began to jump on the bed and told Hiro she would live with them in the retirement home, but the news shocked the boys. Sensing the boys were uncomfortable with her presence, Hiro decided to take 02 away. That night, Ichigo showed 02 a new room, saying she would have to sleep there and follow all the rules if she wanted to continue living with them. However, 02 thought she was trying to control her and said she preferred to stay with Hiro and snuggle with him in his bed. Meanwhile, in the bathroom, Hiro was feeling very ill, and upon touching his heart, he knew something was terribly wrong with him. After Goro found him sick in his room, he opened his shirt and discovered a large scar on his heart. But when he tried to activate the emergency alarm, Hiro stopped him and, after drinking a glass of water, told Garo he was still determined to pilot the FranXX one more time. Garo thought he was crazy and reminded him he could die in the next attempt, but Hiro said he had never felt more alive and asked him not to tell anyone about his health condition, as he thought it would jeopardize his chances of piloting a robot again. The next day, the sergeant told the team and another team that 100 Cloxosaur had been discovered several miles away and were approaching the fortress at great speed. As they intended to perform another KISS procedure, he said the new team would protect both installations, while Ichigo's team would serve as support. When Hiro and 02 entered the room, Nana said they would participate in the mission. However, the new team thought 02 was a useless threat who didn't care about her allies, and one of the boys began to say they wouldn't go to battle with her, as she had caused the death of his partner a few years ago. 02 told him she had no memories of her friends as she had lost too many partners to count. Irritated by her words, the boy tried to approach her, but Hiro stood in his way and promised to keep her under control. That night, as the team returned to their retirement home, Goro tried to suggest they exclude 02 from the team, but Hiro interrupted him, realizing he was about to reveal his secret, and said it was better to keep 02 as an ally. That same night, Hiro began to tremble in his bed as his illness worsened. Frustrated by this discovery, Garo decided to sit outside the retirement home, but soon spotted Ichigo and 02 heading towards the forest. Ichigo told 02 she should behave when they went on the mission, but 02 told her to screw off and started to leave. However, Ichigo managed to stop her and told her not to push Hiro beyond his limits so he wouldn't die like her other partners. 02 told her to mind her own business and called Hiro her darling, saying that he chose her as his partner and that if he died, he would be useless. Upon hearing these words, Ichigo slapped her in the face and called her a heartless psychopath, saying that she truly wasn't human. Immediately, 02's eyes began to shine with anger as she asked what was so special about humans anyway. Fortunately, it started to rain, so 02 looked up at the sky in surprise and forgot her anger. When Ichigo returned home, she found Garo waiting outside, and he tossed her a blanket to dry off. He said he had seen her arguing with 02, but decided to stay away from the conflict. She started to say that she felt useless because she couldn't emotionally connect with Hiro and thought something was wrong with her, and she began to cry. The next day, 02 and Hiro walked together on the wet ground, the same place where they first met. Hiro is still here thanks to her, who gave him the chance to pilot a FranXX. He belongs to her, only her. None of 02's partners managed to pilot a FranXX more than 3 times. She finds this very sad and unbearable, but at the same time, it's beautiful. There is still time for Hiro to give up, and she gives him this chance, but he refuses. He would never give up. This makes 02 so happy that she begins to skip and dance joyfully. Even if the wings he gains someday break, he will fly until the end because he feels that this is what he was born to do. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to see the next part, okay? See you then. The following day, as the team began to head out for their mission, Goro pushed Ichigo to talk to the hero, but when Ichigo stood in front of him, she began to stutter. The hero saw 02 in the corridor and decided to wave at her, causing Ichigo to lose focus. When she tried to speak again, she said she considered him like a brother and hoped to see him return alive from the battle. The hero told her that he considered her like a sister and also hoped she would return safely from the battle before running after 02. When Ichigo prepared to activate her robot, she told Garo she intended to keep 02 away from the battle. Outside the fortress, the teams observed a large army of Cloxer approaching, so the first team decided to lead the battle. As one robot launched a spear towards a monster, another jumped high and impaled it until it exploded. Immediately, 3 robots shot arrows at another, allowing the leader to impale it until it burst. When a Clockser began to approach them, Futoshi tried to shoot it, but it dodged and devoured him. Ichigo started shooting at it, but as it evaded the shots, Zoram tried to impale it, but missed and collided with Mitsuru's robot. While 2 monsters tried to tear Futoshi's robot apart, another tried to devour them, but Ichigo threw it to the ground and finished it off. At that moment, a new monster began running towards the fortress, so Ichigo told Zoram to chase it down and eliminate it. Meanwhile, the hero was very sick and in a lot of pain. When a new set of Clockser armies began to approach the facility, 02 told him that Ichigo's team was running across the battlefield like idiots, and that she couldn't wait to get into the fight. The hero wondered why she always liked destroying the Clockser, realizing it made her happy like a scary maniac. She told him she was a monster and loved the adrenaline that came with each battle. Determined not to be a killjoy, the hero suggested they join the battle immediately, so 02 agreed. When the FranXX entered the battlefield, she piled several monsters into a high line and obliterated them in an instant, before impaling another and destroying it with a slash. The Clockser began to shoot at her, but she blocked and jumped away before destroying them in a flash. Realizing their advantage, the second team tied up another monster and electrocuted it until it exploded. After the FranXX destroyed another monster, the hero became very sick, causing the robot to become stiff and unable to move. However, she quickly revived and began killing the monsters with swift moves. Then Ichigo finished off the last one. Ichigo told 02 to withdraw from the battle, but the hero insisted they continue. With all the smaller monsters defeated, the second team decided to tie up the last Clockser and electrocute it, causing it to stop moving. When they electrocuted it again, a bright light shone, and a thunderous noise echoed across the battlefield, and before their eyes, it began to transform into a strange humanoid form. As it advanced, the second team shot arrows at it, but it deflected them and crushed them into the ground. With the team leader about to be hit, Zoro managed to rescue him and place him in a safe spot. Realizing they were the only team left, Ichigo suggested they immobilize the beast so the hero could finish it off, as only his robot had the weapon to find the beast's core. They split up and began climbing the monster, hoping to stop it before it reached the fortress. At the same time, the hero was trying to endure the pain as large veins appeared all over his body. However, he was determined to continue. So, when the team managed to weaken the monster's knees, the FranXX began to descend towards it with his spear. Stabbing it, the hero tried to force the spear with all his might and released gas inside it, causing the monster to fall. Believing the monster was dead, the hero fainted from exhaustion. However, the monster threw the FranXX towards the fortress and began to transform into a new form. With the hero unconscious, the Clockser prepared a powerful attack and threw the FranXX against a wall, causing it to shut down. At that moment, as the robot tried to get up, the Clockser began hitting it relentlessly. Ichigo realized the hero might be dead and started crying, afraid she would never see him again. However, Garo started shouting at her and told her to pull herself together. Meanwhile, the hero's soul was in a different world, where he discovered he was dead. Naomi appeared behind him and accused him of giving up on 02 just like he gave up on her. The hero said he was now useless since he was dead and believed 02 could fight the battle alone. Suddenly, he saw 02 standing under a tree in front of him, but when he tried to touch her, she began to move away, making him realize she was very sad. At that moment, he opened his eyes and found 02 trying to fight alone, but was knocked down as the monster continued to attack the FranXX. However, 02 continued fighting like a crazy beast from hell, enduring all the pain and incessant blows. Upon seeing this, the hero realized that 02 always fought the same way whenever she lost a partner, so he was determined to help her and pilot with her again. When life returned to his eyes, the veins disappeared from his body, and he held her as she began to scream, bringing her back to her senses. He told her that he would always stay by her side and never leave her again. At that moment, the FranXX revived and began to crush the Cloxosaur. But as it started to change form again, the team began to fly towards it, determined to interrupt the transformation. They held it, revealing its core to the hero, who began to fly towards it at great speed. When the FranXX pierced through it, it stabbed the core, causing the monster to rise with a light that looked like wings before exploding into thick smoke. Inside the FranXX, the hero told 02 that he wished to be her wings so she would never have to fight alone again. As they started to leave, happy to see their friends again. This was supposed to be Hero's last fight. Everyone was expecting the worst. All the other 02 pilots died after the third time, but with Hero it was different for some reason. A few days later, the team was allowed to take a beach vacation as a reward for destroying the Cloxosaur. 02 pulled the hero into the water and started splashing him. However, a few days after the battle, the hero was introduced to Dr. FranXX, who was the creator of the robots, and another person who told the hero that he was very lucky to be alive. When the sergeant told the hero and 02 that headquarters had decided to make them partners, 02 immediately hugged the hero, happy to hear that. At the beach, the hero began to follow 02 as she swam further into the water. She told him that he helped her discover the ocean by becoming her partner. She said she wanted him always to stay by her side and decided to lick his face. When he started to stutter, thinking she intended to kiss him, she said that a kiss meant they belonged to each other and that he should only kiss someone he loved. When she asked if he had ever kissed another girl besides her, the hero started to stutter again and was happily pulled into the water by his friends. Soon, they carried him to the beach, and after throwing him in the sand, Zorome decided to ask the meaning of a kiss. As the hero tried to escape, Zorome grabbed him and persuaded him to tell. Then he said that they had to put their mouth on another person's mouth. Shocked by this discovery, Zorome decided to ask if kissing was a special act. The hero said it was a sweet and warm feeling that he wished would never end. Wanting to experience this, Zorome tried to kiss the hero, but he said he should only kiss someone he loved. When Ichigo appeared wondering what was going on, Garo told her they had learned the meaning of a kiss and asked if she had ever experienced it. But she said no. At that moment, Miko started calling them, and soon they reached a cave, surprised by the discovery. As they climbed the steps, Garo asked the hero if boys could become the girls' love partners since he had said kissing was something special to do with their partner. But the hero was uncertain about it. When they reached an old, abandoned city, they began to wonder what must have happened to the people who lived there. After spotting a large house, Zorome, Futoshi, and Miku decided to go inside. While looking around, they discovered that the house was similar to the home where they lived and wondered if their house was intentionally built with this design. Meanwhile, Keiko entered another part of the house and found an old book on the floor. As she wiped the dust off, she was delighted with the drawing of a baby, but Mitsuru saved her from being hit by a board. However, she continued to hold the book. At the same time, Ichigo found a drawing of a couple kissing and began to remember her kiss with the hero. But 02 appeared behind her and said that she had kissed him. When Ichigo said she had also kissed a boy, 02 said she should only kiss one special person and demanded to know who she had kissed. Fortunately, Garo called her from across the street, saving her from embarrassment. When they reached a cliff, Zorome wondered how the city managed to exist. 02 said the city was abandoned by humans when the Cloxosaur began to appear on Earth, and that there were several other cities around the world that were also abandoned. That night, after dinner, 02 told the hero she wanted to swim and started running towards the ocean. A few minutes later, while they were sitting around the fire, the hero wondered why humans decided to abandon their cities instead of protecting themselves from the Cloxosaur. And since the Cloxosaur were attracted to magma energy, he wondered if it was worth losing Earth for it. However, Zorome believed it was a valid risk and thought it made them saviors of the world. That night, while everyone was sleeping, Ichigo saw the hero trying to escape, so they decided to walk along the beach together. While showing the stars, She told him that he used to read stories about them when they were little, but the hero had no memory of this. However, upon spotting another star, the hero remembered that they had named the star with Ichigo's code and promised to see it together after leaving the fortress. As they continued walking, she told him not to focus all his attention on 02, but to dedicate some attention to her, and that their kiss inside the robot was very special to her. However, when she tried to say that she wanted to be by his side forever, the hero suddenly pointed to the shooting stars in the sky. As they watched the stars, the hero told her to make a wish in her heart, but she thought he was an idiot for not listening to her confession of wishes. It's no use, Ichigo. Hero is all from 02. A few days later, the team started fighting another Clockser. When a robot dodged its attack, Zoro jumped on it and began stabbing it before Futoshi blew it up. Realizing the chance to defeat it, the team began to advance, but the monster poured slime over them. However, they discovered that the slime was harmless to their robots and thought about attacking again, but the slime began to penetrate and melt the girls' suits. Realizing they were about to witness an interesting scene, the boys stared as if their lives depended on it. However, 02 managed to shout at Hero and reminded him of the monster in front of them, so they ran towards it, and by blocking the slime, they cut it to pieces. When they returned to the facility, the boys started apologizing to the girls for enjoying the interesting scene, but the girls thought they were useless perverts and told them to stay away forever. However, Hero asks them to calm down, as 02 told him that parasites can connect better if they're a little naughty. She agrees. After all, she has already appeared naked to Hero. What a naughty girl. Later that day, they drew a line across the house, and Miku told the boys they couldn't cross to the other side. However, Zoro decided to challenge the order and tried to cross, but the girls threatened to beat him up. In fact, 02 didn't care about it and just wanted to know about his darling. My couple. The next day, the girls discovered that the boys had taken over the cafeteria and were starting to eat all the food. When Goro suggested abandoning their stupid rules, the girls refused and started pulling Miku away, but 02 simply crossed the line into the hall. That afternoon, the girls decided to look for food, but while walking through the lower floors for the first time, they discovered that several rooms had been sealed. Ichigo wondered how much longer they would have to continue fighting the Clockser, as the battle seemed never-ending. 02 appears and licks Akuno's neck, which makes her shiver while 02 says he knows the secret. The girls decided to talk to 02 in private and asked her to join their fight against the boys. Having seen her with Hero, they thought she was making their decisions irrelevant by breaking their rules, so 02 agreed to join their stupid fight. However, the next day, she tore down the restriction notice and told the boys that the girls had asked for peace while she changed the girls' sign to the boys. But when the boys entered the bathroom, they found the girls inside and started throwing objects at them, calling them dirty perverts. When Zoro tried to explain what 02 had told them, Hiro saw her stealing their clothes and running out, so he chased her. After demanding the clothes, she told him to take them if he was a man. When he ran to get them, she slid down the railing and started climbing more stairs. Hiro chased her to the lounge, but she crossed the room and ran down the hallway. When 02 climbed onto the roof, Hiro followed her to the edge, realizing she had nowhere to run. But she let the clothes fall in the air. Hiro found her strange and wondered why she decided to steal everyone's clothes. She said she just wanted to have fun. When she started to lower herself as if she were going to fall, she grabbed the house structure and easily descended like a badass. Inside the house, Nana told the teenagers to resolve their problems without making a mess and suggested they make peace, as they would have to leave for a new battle soon. In the girls' room, Ichigo wanted to know why 02 had tricked them, so she said she was trying to help them become responsible parents. Confused by her words, the girls watched her leave while 02 said everyone would be dead soon. At the same time, in the boys' room, Hiro suggested they make peace with the girls and started making a powerful speech about how the girls saved their lives in battle by energizing the robots with their fragile bodies. The boys thought the girls would be good wives and agreed to make peace with them. Meanwhile, the girls wondered what 02 was trying to say, but didn't understand the meaning of her words. Then Kokoro decided to restore peace to the team and started saying they needed the boys as much as the boys needed them, and that they formed a happier team when they were satisfied with each other. But Miko thought it was better to stay apart and decided to leave the room. Afraid she might have run away, the girls decided to ask the boys for help in finding her. Meanwhile, Miku was hiding in an abandoned room when she saw an old photo of another team that had lived on that floor. Shocked by her discovery, she let the glass fall and her friends broke down the door while wondering who had stayed in that room. 02 revealed that it had belonged to a previous team that died in battle. With the team hoping not to become the next Sushi, they decided to make peace with each other. Zoroarm told Miku that he would be sneaking into her bed every night to appreciate the interesting scene. A few weeks later, the team received a gift from the force's leader. When 02 wondered why they received a gift every year, Hiro said it was an attempt to encourage them for their hard work. Then, Christmas arrived and all the parasites got presents. Later that day, Goro found Ichigo spying on Hiro while he was giving a gift to 02. Hiro told her that he felt sad for her not receiving anything and hoped to make up for it. He mentioned that the mirror belonged to his previous partner, Naomi, who left the facility after being injured. Fascinated by the gift, 02 hugged Hiro and said she loved it and would keep it forever. But Ichigo was sad and wished she had received the gift. Goro remembered that when they were little, they noticed Ichigo's hair starting to grow. In a desperate attempt to impress her, he hurried to make a hair clip, but discovered that Hiro had already done it before him. He was sad because he always liked her but was afraid to say it. In the boys' room, Hiro saw Goro holding the clip and wondered why he had it. Goro said he wanted to give the clip to Ichigo since they were little but was ashamed. When Hiro asked why he was afraid to tell her how he felt, Goro replied that Ichigo always liked him and wanted to stay by his side, just like 02 was always by Hiro's side. Shocked by his words, Hiro started to stammer, but Goro said he loved Ichigo and always hoped to stay with her forever. After saying these words, Goro said he was ready to sleep and lay down immediately. The next day, the sergeant said that a clockser was discovered a few kilometers away and was quickly approaching the fortress. Nana said their duty was to destroy it before it reached the location to prevent damage to the fortress. Soon the team set out in their robots and began approaching the monster. After spotting a massive storm cloud, they saw a large clockser in the cloud moving towards them like an alien ship. Hoping to destroy it, Zoroarm began to advance, dodging the tentacles and cutting them, but got caught in them. Luckily, he managed to break free, but a bomb exploded on him. However, he spotted the core and thought it would be easy to destroy it, so he flew towards it but was engulfed by strange bubbles before he could destroy it. Ichigo flew towards him and punched him to safety, but ended up getting trapped in it. When the clockser started glowing with bright lights, it exploded in a huge blast. When Garo woke up inside the robot, he decided to turn off the warning alarm and remembered that he had ejected Ichigo before the explosion. Hiro started talking to him over the radio and said that Ichigo was safe, but that he was trapped in the clockser's stomach and was becoming its breakfast. Hiro said that the rest of the team had retreated to the facility and were unsure if they could save him. The only hope of rescuing him was through his robot, but with Ichigo out of it, it was impossible to activate it. When 02 entered the room, she demanded that Goro be rescued immediately. The sergeant said that Goro was trapped in the monster's fuel tank and was lucky to still be alive. He said that the priority was to protect the fortress and that they would have to destroy the clockser with Garo inside it. However, Ichigo was afraid of losing her partner and said she was willing to save him. Then, 02 suggested that they use the exhaust hole at the top of the monster. They returned to the battlefield, and while Zoroarm launched the FranXX to the top, Ichigo dived inside and began to swim deep into the fuel. At the same time, Goro was having difficulty breathing and started to remember when he was a little boy. He was often saved by Ichigo, who thought he was too weak and useless to do anything on his own. He fell in love with her at that moment, but was sad because she always loved Hiro. When he was about to kill himself, he decided to activate the self-destruction system, but fortunately, Ichigo entered the robot at that moment. She reminded him that she promised to save him, as he was always weak and useless without her. Garo was happy to see her and offered his hand. At the same moment, the robot came to life and launched an explosive device before flying to the surface and escaping to the outside. As they ran back to the fortress, the Clockser exploded in a huge explosion. With peace restored, Garo decided to give the hair clip to Ichigo and said he had hoped to give it to her since they were little. He said he loved her and would like to spend the rest of his life with her. However, she said she only considered him a friend. But seriously, Ichigo was shy, but she still didn't know how to respond to this love and romance thing. But she was very grateful to have Goro as her partner. Oh guys, I always melt in the romance of this anime. So cute. Sign up for the next part. See you then. After returning to the facility, Hiro noticed that 02 seemed sad. When he asked what was wrong, she replied that she was just worried about dinner. At that moment, Zoro and Miku started yelling at each other, and Nana appeared with good news for everyone. She announced an invitation to the city from the leader of the forces, stating they would be rewarded for their success in the battles. The team was thrilled, thinking they would finally meet all the adults in the city. However, 02 was unimpressed and started to leave. Nana mentioned that 02 would undergo medical exams in the city, but 02 insisted she was as healthy as a horse and had no desire for any exams. The next day, as the team prepared to leave, Hiro noticed that 02 was sad and reluctant to go. Upon descending to the city, the teenagers found it beautiful and wished they could live there forever. At the headquarters, they were greeted by a masked stranger who told them the leader was pleased with their battle achievements and that they were the most special team of the forces. However, after he left, the teenagers wondered why there wasn't a celebration for them. Nana explained that the headquarters didn't allow parties and that they had to return to the facility immediately. The girls suggested walking back to get a better view of the city. On the way back, Zoro expressed his eagerness to become an adult and live in the city, but Ichigo thought they wouldn't survive the upcoming wars and wouldn't grow any more than they already had. When they reached their power source, the team was impressed with the view and wondered who could have created it. As they prepared to leave, Zoro stayed behind and started climbing a building. The elevator took him to the top, but he couldn't find a way down. As he walked around, he realized the city was a ghost town. He saw an adult passing by, but the man ignored him. With no other options, he began to descend the building, but another adult's gaze caused him to lose his grip, and he fell. When he woke up in a strange house, a woman told him she feared he had cracked his skull and thought he might never wake up. Zoro wondered if he was in a nursing home, but the woman said there were no nursing homes in the city and that she needed to inform the forces of his whereabouts. However, he just wanted to ask some questions, so she agreed and took off her mask. While eating her delicious food, he asked if she lived alone. She said she lived with her partner, though they rarely saw each other. Hearing about her partner, Zoro wondered if she piloted a robot with him, but she explained they didn't pilot robots and that her partner was like a husband with whom she should have children. Zoro didn't understand, as he had never thought of boys and girls doing anything other than piloting robots together. She then offered to show him her partner. In a room, they found her partner lying in a strange machine. She said he was activating his brain for some strange pleasure. Suddenly, the woman felt dizzy and tired. As she rested, she mentioned that she hadn't spoken to anyone in years and had almost forgotten how to converse. Zoro asked how often she talked to her partner, but she said she hadn't heard his voice in many years. They minded their own business and never greeted each other. When Zoro complained about his own partner, the woman suggested he find someone new. Zoro insisted he wouldn't replace his partner, saying she was the love of his life. His words made the woman feel worse, so she reported his whereabouts to the system, saying the forces would arrive soon, and wondered why he was crying. He thought she looked familiar and asked if they had met before, but she believed they hadn't and called him a hero for joining to protect everyone at the fort. But at that moment, an alarm sounded. Shortly after, 2 men from the forces began checking Zorom for infections, thinking he was too dirty to be in their city. When Zorom returned to the facility, he was punished for abandoning the team by having to scrub the bathroom. Miku yelled at him, calling him a useless idiot. A few days later, the team returned from another battle, and Ichigo told Nana they had eliminated several Cloxosaurs and were eager for the next battle. The sergeant informed them they would face a new set of Cloxosaurs the following day and instructed them to rest sufficiently. The next day, the team saw a large machine digging into the ground and learned that new Cloxosaurs were approaching. As they prepared for battle, one of the robots shut down. Inside, Mitsuru appeared very sick and collapsed from exhaustion, so he was taken to the facility for treatment. That night, in a dream, Mitsuru remembered being weak as a child and being told he was too useless to become a pilot. Desperate to get stronger, he took a lethal injection and survived. However, when he asked Hiro to become his piloting partner, Hiro said he was only interested in piloting with a girl who had beautiful cherries. Waking from the shock of this memory, Mitsuru realized he hated Hiro and would never forgive him. The next day, Mitsuru demanded to pilot a robot, determined to prove his worth, but Nana and the sergeant found he was still too weak and useless as ever. Later that day, they informed the team they needed to switch partners since Mitsuru and Nuno no longer wanted to be partners. Nana suggested it would be best to separate them and find new partners among the team. After the meeting, Hiro decided to ask 02 why she had been acting strangely lately. She told him it was none of his business and walked away. At the next meeting, Nana asked for volunteers willing to switch partners. Ano volunteered to become Ichigo's new partner. Although the robots only worked with a male and female pilot, Ano thought it was worth a try, and Ichigo agreed. When Nana asked if anyone else was willing to switch partners, Kokoro raised her hand, devastating Futoshi. Later that day, it was discovered that Ichigo and Nuno couldn't start their robot, so Nana suggested Futoshi become Yuno's new partner. That night, in the boys' room, Futoshi cried over losing the love of his life. When Zorom called Kokoro a useless idiot who couldn't count her toes with her fingers, Futoshi threatened to beat him up. When Mitsuru appeared outside the room, Futoshi ran to punch him but tripped and fell. A few hours later, the team was informed of a large Cloxosaur approaching the fort. They ran outside to confront the monster. 02 charged at it, slicing it from top to bottom. Seeing it was still intact, she tried to stab it but got stuck and covered. Fortunately, Ichigo and Futoshi flew over and rescued her, but she returned to fight it, determined to defeat it, and cut it into smaller Cloxosaurs. As the FranXX pushed forward, they almost crushed Ichigo and Futoshi, but 02 rushed in again before Hiro pulled her back, saving them from being crushed. When they wondered how to defeat it, Kokoro suggested shooting it to find its core. As they narrowly dodged the monster's feet, 3 smaller Cloxosaurs ran toward the construction site. 2 robots fired at them, but they dodged the shots. However, Futoshi managed to jump on one and kill it with a cut. Desperate to make up for his mistake, Mitsuru dashed towards the monster but was swiftly kicked away. As it attempted to crush them, Fashi intervened by grabbing its leg while 2 robots sliced its knee, causing it to falter. Despite this, it began extending a tentacle, prompting Futoshi to unleash a barrage of fire from his weapon. Meanwhile, inside Kokoro's robot, she tried to encourage Mitsuru to try again, despite his self-deprecating remarks. Recalling how Hiro had abandoned him in their youth, Mitsuru expressed bitterness, but Kokoro countered with her belief in his potential and support for his future. She persuaded him to let go of the past. However, when she attempted to activate the robot independently, Mitsuru stopped her abruptly, criticizing her action and warning against such reckless behavior. Simultaneously, the team relentlessly attacked the monster, which continued to stretch towards the building. When Mitsuru's robot was activated, Futoshi pushed the monster back and fired at it ferociously before delivering a decisive blow. Capitalizing on the opportunity, Mitsuru swiftly approached and delivered a powerful shot, allowing Hiro to pierce its core. The Cloxosaur twisted and exploded in thick smoke, though the FranXX managed to escape. Back at the facility, Futoshi confronted Mitsuru for his arrogance and reckless behavior, particularly in endangering Kokoro. Mitsuru assured him he would protect her. Several days later, the team arrived at a new facility known as the laboratory, where they were all created. Nana explained they were brought there for medical tests, but Hiro suspected it was primarily to assess 02. Just then, a new team arrived, accompanied by the same mysterious man Hiro had encountered weeks earlier. When he inquired whether 02 had changed, she tersely dismissed him and left. The mysterious man revealed 02's nickname was Iota and that she had previously been part of their team. He expressed surprise that they had become her friends and questioned if she had undergone any unusual treatments. Ichigo said that 02 was considered part of their team and that she was a better person than the rest of them. Wanting to make a good impression, the mysterious guy decided to kiss her, but she blushed and walked away with the rest of the team. After taking his own test, Hiro remembered his last conversation with 02 when he found her in the library. He had noticed her strange behavior for weeks and decided to ask what was wrong, but she said she wanted to kiss him and approached him like a mindless robot. However, Hiro saw her fangs and got scared. Meanwhile, outside the lab, 02 was kicking and attacking the soldiers, trying to subdue her. After one soldier shot her, she kicked 2 more soldiers, but fell before reaching him. A few hours later, the team walked through the lab, remembering when they also lived there. Observing a new group of children inside the lab, they discovered the children were being injected with special doses to become parasites. A woman told them the children were receiving higher doses of yellow blood cells as the number of Cloxosaurs continued to increase. Hiro asked if his previous partner, Naomi, had returned to the lab, but the woman said no one ever returned to the lab once they left. As the team was returning, Kokoro asked how babies were made. Everyone found her question strange, but Mika said they were created inside a machine. Upon arriving back at the fortress, Nana and the sergeant noticed some Cloxosaurs trying to sneak into the facility. They instructed the teams to destroy them. Outside the FranXX, 02 launched herself, colliding with the monsters using a powerful light that made them explode. However, upon landing, a monster knocked her down. Concerned that 02 was losing control, Ichigo urged her to follow the plan, but 02 took off again, determined to eliminate all the Cloxosaurs. Hiro pulled her back, but she advanced with the FranXX again, landing in front of the monsters and finishing them off with her lance. However, she began pounding the ground maniacally, determined to kill more Cloxosaurs, but the FranXX ran out of fuel at that moment. Later that day, Hiro found 02 by the lake and asked why she was acting strangely. She said she intended to kill all the Cloxosaurs in the world to become human. Hiro thought she was crazy and tried to tell her to accept herself as she was, but she yelled at him to shut up. However, he persisted and told her that he loved her, but she thought he was just trying to take advantage of her. She pushed him to the ground and said she was willing to develop a plot with him and began kissing him. However, he managed to push her away and tried to tell her that he truly wanted a genuine love, but she said she was just using him to kill Cloxosaurs in the hope of becoming human. Later that night, when Ichigo tried to talk to 02, she found her destroying the mirrors and wondered if she had lost her mind, but 02 simply walked away. Ichigo recalled that the mysterious guy had told her that 02 was cursing her partners, causing them to die every time they piloted the FranXX together. He said Hiro was a special human who would soon become a monster like her if he continued piloting with her. The next day, the FranXX started fighting another Cloxosaur in the snow, but smaller Cloxosaurs began colliding with it until Zorome and Ichigo came to the rescue. However, 02 had no desire to slow down and started attacking again, but Hiro pulled the FranXX back and told her to forget her obsession with becoming human. Wanting to end him, 02 took control of the FranXX, and her soul began strangling him. She said she was determined to become human to reunite with her first dear once again, but Hiro thought he had also met her before. Then, she began to tell her story. When she was little, she was trapped in a room for several months, and a ghost fed her food. One day, the ghost gave her a picture book, and after revealing the pages to her, 02 was enchanted by the images. Hoping to find more books like that, 02 decided to explore the world but ended up becoming a test subject in the laboratory. On the other hand, when Hiro was young, he was always curious about who he was while being trained to become a parasite. One day, he found Ichigo crying, and she told him that the other children were becoming zombies because of all the injections they were receiving. She thought something was wrong with her because she was always crying and wondered if she should take more injections until she became numb to the pain. Hiro told her she was special and decided to call her Ichigo. Delighted with this name, Ichigo took Hiro to the other children and he named them all. But as days passed, they noticed their friends were starting to disappear, and the adults never told them where they were being taken. However, they continued testing Hiro and rewarded him with sweets whenever he did well, but he had many questions that no one was willing to answer. One day, he saw an ugly little monster girl being dragged into the lab. When he asked an adult who she was, the woman told him to stop asking questions. Determined to find out, Hiro tried to sneak down the hallway but was seen by two adults who told him to return to his room. However, Hiro was determined and sneaked out into the snow, deciding to climb a tree to see her inside the cell. 02 was struggling to get her picture book back from an adult and managed to retrieve it. Hiro smiled with joy. As days passed in the lab, the children noticed that many of their other friends had disappeared and wondered if they were being abducted. Some adults arrived to summon Hiro for another round of tests. After the tests, Hiro was rewarded with 2 sweets, but as he left, he heard a scream in the hallway, ran to see who it was, and found 02 screaming inside the staircase while being tortured for some crazy and cruel experiment. Horrified by the sight, Hiro fell backward, but a man began dragging him away from the lab. A few days later, Hiro escaped into the snow and found his way to 02's cell. After climbing a tree, he threw a torch at the window, and a cold wind blew over the scared girl, 02. Hiro extended a friendly hand to her and pulled her out, but the branch broke, and they fell into the snow. Upon reaching a dry forest, 02 realized she had never been outside before and started chasing a rat for breakfast. When Hiro saw her eating the rat, he tried to make her vomit, but she bit his hand. Then, he began to pet her head and helped her relax until she let go. As they walked, Hiro noticed that she couldn't speak, but wondered if she understood his words. After seeing the numbers 002 on her bracelet, he decided to call her 02, and she immediately liked it, starting to repeat her name. He then decided to wrap bandages around her feet to protect her from injuries, and they continued their journey. While resting, he gave her a candy, and upon tasting it, she screamed with joy. Then, she decided to give him her picture book, hoping he would read the story to her. A group of men from the lab started searching for them. Fortunately, they managed to hide in the bushes. Continuing their journey through the snow, they invaded new territory and began running while the forces pursued them. Resting in a tree, Hiro told 02 that her picture book was about a monster princess who wanted to become human after falling in love with a man. However, Hiro found the story sad because the two couldn't be together and wondered if things would be different if they were both human. When they tried to resume their journey, Hiro noticed that 02 was injured, so he began licking her wound and said he wanted to be her darling forever. Touched by his words, she started crying and hugged him. But when they thought they were safe, the forces appeared before them and struck Hiro on the head. Upon their return to the laboratory, the doctor ordered Hiro's memories to be erased, prompting 02's resolve to become human and reunite with him. Inside the Frank, Hiro recounted recognizing 02 as the girl from his childhood with the picture book. This realization led 02 to power down the robot. Hiro shared that he had glimpsed her thoughts and managed to recover his lost memories, but then collapsed in her arms. Hey darling, if you enjoyed it and want the complete part 2, click on the like button and subscribe to the channel, okay? Stay with me in the next video.